Why be ordinary when you can be flamboyant? Wancheka Radio. Be flamboyant.
Good evening, and here are the major stories for today. A new report by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has revealed that humanitarian crisis, manifestations of corruption and mismanagement at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth Idiaraba, and two other federal government hospitals in Lagos make it extremely difficult for Nigerians to obtain essential medical care. Aside Luth, the two other hospitals covered in the report are the National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, Lagos, and the Federal Medical Center, Ibutemeta. The 53-page report titled Failing Healthcare: How Federal Hospitals Are Letting Down the Poor and Making Healthcare a Privilege Rather Than a Right was launched this Tuesday in Lagos, highlighting the sharp deterioration in the quality and safety of care, especially unhygienic conditions, severe shortages of medicines and medical supplies in these hospitals. According to the report, the hospitals do not have enough cancer treatment machines, while linear accelerator, magnetic resonance imaging and CT scan machines are not working optimally due to erratic electricity, with the hospitals not having backup plans. The report was part of the highlight of the public hearing held by SERAP to provide forum for people to give testimonies and submit complaints or petitions on allegations of corruption they encounter while accessing public services, particularly in the health, education and water sectors. The research for the report was conducted between April and June this year, using semi-structured, in-depth interviews as the primary instrument for data collection. President Muhammadu Buhari has received the All Progressives Congress Expression of Interest and Nomination forms. The forms were presented to him this Tuesday by members of a group called the National Consolidation Ambassadors Network at the Presidential Villa. President Buhari, while receiving the forms, spoke concerning the achievements of his administration, as he also chastised persons whom he said put personal interest above national interest and as a result exited the party, leaving patriotic party members to continue the struggle. The Nigeria police has warned its men and officers in charge of providing security in the Osun September 22 gubernatorial election to avoid fraternizing with politicians or collecting bribe from them. Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of Public Complaints Rapid Response Unit, Abayomi Shogunle, gave the warning in Osogbo today during a visit to the Correspondence Chapel of the Osun Council of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. Shogunle said any police officer caught with unprofessional conduct before, during and after the election will be duly punished. The national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has distanced himself from a report which quoted him to have said, "Osun doesn't have my kind of money," while speaking at the palace of the Ataoja of Osogbo last Saturday. Reacting to the alleged statement, Osogbo people took to the streets to protest, chanting, "Osun is not like Ekiti, where APC recently won the governorship poll." But the APC leader, in a statement released by his spokesman Tunde Rahman this Tuesday, said the purported report was intended to create bad blood among Tinubu, the Ataoja and the good people of Osogbo, whom the APC leader holds in very high esteem. Rahman explained that what the APC leader said is that in vying for Osun governorship, the party's candidate Isiaka Oyetola is motivated by service and not by any selfish consideration. The spokesman stressed that for the avoidance of doubt, Tinubu did not disparage the people of Osogbo in his remarks at the palace, and the report should be totally ignored. And the Commissioner of Police in Enugu State, Mohammed Dan Malam, has allayed fears of a possible breach of public peace in that state due to the September 14th sit-at-home order by the Independent People of Biafra, IPOB. Speaking today during a meeting with the Bankers Forum in Enugu, Dan Malam said security agencies in the state had made adequate arrangements in collaboration with major stakeholders to ensure effective surveillance and security of lives and property before, during and after September 14. Dan Malam therefore urged banks and other financial institutions, market and business outfits not to panic but go about their normal businesses, just as he warned that anyone caught trying to foment crisis in the state under any guise would be made to face the full weight of the law. In international news, West African governments should overhaul their drug laws to decriminalize personal use and prioritize treatment as a response to rising substance abuse in the region, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo said this Tuesday. Obasanjo, who stated this during an interview with Reuters before he was due to present a model drug law to regional officials in Senegal, advised authorities to channel resources into fighting large-scale trafficking, which he said was undermining regional democracy. The use of substances like cocaine, heroin, and amphetamine is rising in West Africa despite strict drug laws, as countries that once served primarily as transit points for trade between South America and Europe are now active consumer markets. In 2016, the last year for which data was available, Africa registered the second highest growth in cocaine seizures behind Asia, according to the United Nations. Abuse of opioids, particularly the cheap painkiller tramadol, has become a major health crisis in Nigeria and neighboring countries. The recommendations by Obasanjo's West African Commission on Drugs comes as a number of countries look to decriminalize drug use, especially marijuana, after decades of enforcement appear to have done little to curb it. The leaders of Ethiopia and Eritrea reopened crossing points on their shared border for the first time in 20 years this Tuesday, strengthening a stunning reconciliation and giving Addis Ababa a direct route to its former enemy's Red Sea port. Ethiopian and Eritrean forces stationed along the border will be moved back to camps to further ease tensions, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said. The war that broke out in 1998 over the border and other issues killed an estimated 80,000 people before fighting ended in 2000 in a contested peace deal. Ethiopia, a rising economic power with 100 million people, had been almost entirely dependent on neighbor Djibouti for access to the Red Sea since 1998. Zimbabwe declared a cholera outbreak in the capital Harare after 20 people died from the disease and more than 2,000 were infected after drinking contaminated water, new Health Minister Obadia Moyo said today. Harare City Council has struggled to supply water to some suburbs for more than a decade, forcing residents to rely on water from open wells and community boreholes. The latest cholera outbreak came after burst sewers in Budiriro and Glenview suburbs contaminated water in boreholes and open wells, which are used by residents. The health minister further said the selling of meat and fish by vendors in the affected suburbs had been banned, and the police had been asked to enforce the ban. Zimbabwe suffered its biggest cholera outbreak in 2008 at the height of an economic crisis, when more than 4,000 people died and another 40,000 were treated after being infected. And U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump have visited a memorial in Pennsylvania to mark the 9/11 attacks 17 years ago. President Trump delivered a speech commemorating the airplane passengers who were thought to have charged the cockpit to stop the attackers. Ceremonies are also being held at the 9/11 Memorial Plaza on the World Trade Center site in New York City. It is said to be the deadliest foreign attack ever on U.S. soil, killing 2,996 people. In business, the federal government has barred state governments which have yet to clear backlog of salaries and other related staff arrears from accessing the remaining $2.69 billion Paris Club refund. Director of Information, Federal Ministry of Finance, Hassan Dodo, informed newsmen of the development today and said the federal government would begin phased payment of the refund to the states once the conditions and several others were met. Other conditions that must be met, according to Dodo, include the clearance of amounts due to the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative and also the commitment to clear matching grants from UBEC. In entertainment, American singer Charlie Puth says he tried to get Mac Miller clean and sober before the rapper's death last week. The 26-year-old platinum-selling rapper was found unresponsive at his home in Los Angeles on Friday morning after reportedly overdosing. Charlie says the pair had become really good friends in recent months. A post-mortem examination is due to be carried out to determine what caused Mac Miller's death. In a statement, his family said he was, and I quote, "a bright light in this world for his family, friends, and fans," end of quotes. Many artists have paid tribute to him, including his ex-girlfriend Ariana Grande, as well as Ed Sheeran, Drake, and Post Malone. In sport, a sports analyst, Tayo Balogun, has advised the Golden Eaglets to play cautiously in tomorrow's match against Niger Republic in the ongoing Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Balogun believes the semi-final match is crucial and sensitive and therefore charged the team to play the game with caution and adequate respect for their opponents. The Golden Eaglets lost 2-3 to Burkina Faso in their opening game and defeated Cote d'Ivoire by 5-1 in their second game. They say they're optimistic of making a return to the global stage by qualifying for Tanzania 2019. The match kicks off at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And a third European club competition could be introduced alongside the Champions League and Europa League from 2021, according to the European Club Association chairman Andrea Agnelli. Agnelli, who is also in UEFA's executive committee, said the plan has been approved but did not give any more details on how the tournament would be organized. Agnelli said a detailed assessment of the existing international match calendar is required prior to presenting a new model post-2024. Speaking at the annual General Assembly of the European Club Association in Croatia, he said the third competition would increase the number of clubs involved in European football from 80 to 96. The Champions League features 32 teams in the group stage, and the second-tier Europa League has 48. Those are the major stories for today. I am Binta Badmus.
Why be ordinary when you can be flamboyant? One Checker Radio. Be flamboyant.